Guys, everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Good morning and welcome to the Nassau County Board of County Commissioners meeting for 9 a.m. October 16th, 2024. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please stand and join me for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Lord, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Even if we have different opinions, give us unity of spirit. Help us listen politely as others share their points of view. Help us to work as a whole rather than as individuals trying to promote their own agendas. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together on our shared mission. Protect our first responders and military men and women wherever they may be serving. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner McCollum?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Farmer?
Here.
Commissioner Hutman?
Here.
Chair Martin?
Here. County Manager, do you have any expansions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, sir, I do. I would request that the board consider expanding the agenda to include a conversation and hopefully a motion to approve a donation agreement for the acceptance of 2 park sites inside the East Nassau Community Planning Area. One along the St. Mary's River will be a new boat ramp for the public, and then one that will expand the Yulee Ballpark.
Okay, we'll put that under County Manager's business. County Attorney?
Yeah, I have no expansion items, but if we could just have a motion and a vote to move that.
I entertain a motion to expand the agenda for the County Manager.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Hutman, a second and a third from Commissioners Farmer and Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, County Attorney, for reminding me of that. Keeping me straight. Okay, we've got quite a few resolutions to present today. The first one under tab A is approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the month of October 2024 as Emily Atkins Blood Clot Awareness Month.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve tab A.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Hutman, a second from Commissioner Farmer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Hutman will present the proclamation.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Atkins. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for being here this morning. A proclamation to the Board of County Commissioners, Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming October 2024 as Emily Atkins Blood Clot Awareness Month. Whereas the nonprofit Emily's Promise works with medical professionals and the public to educate Floridians about the life-threatening risks associated with blood clots. And whereas October is a significant month as Emily Atkins, the namesake of Emily's Promise, passed away on October 21, 2022 from a pulmonary embolism caused by a preventable blood clot. Whereas Emily Atkins was a rising star in Nassau County healthcare, a dedicated community volunteer, a proud graduate of Fernandina Beach High School and the University of North Florida. Whereas, according to the National Blood Clot Alliance, an estimated 900,000 Americans are affected by blood clots each year, 100,000 lives lost to this preventable condition annually. Whereas, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that blood clots can strike anyone at any age, with risk factors including surgery, pregnancy, and cancer treatment, killing more Americans than car accidents, AIDS, and breast cancer combined. And whereas advocacy efforts by Emily's Promise led to the enactment of the Emily Atkins Prevention Act in Florida, which directed Secretary of the Agency for Healthcare Administration, in conjunction with the State Surgeon General, to establish a policy work group aimed at improving the detection and prevention of blood clots across the state. Whereas Emily's Promise continues its mission to raise public awareness, promote the use of Caprini Risk Score to assess individual blood clot risks, encourage the creation of the blood clot prevention plans with healthcare providers, and advocate for life-saving treatments for those at risk. Whereas recognizing emerging medical advancements such as medical thrombectomy, can lead to improved detection and removal of blood clots, ultimately saving more lives. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County on the 16th day of October 2024, that one, the board hereby proclaims the month of October 2024 as Emily Atkins Blood Clot Awareness Month. Two, the board urges healthcare professionals, community leaders, and the public to dedicate their efforts to spread awareness, educating on prevention, and recognizing the serious threat blood clots pose to lives across Nassau County and beyond. That is signed by the Chairman, John Martin, attested to by John Crawford, the Clerk of the Court, and witnessed by the County Attorney, Denise May. Thank you both for spreading awareness and creating an agency that's going to save lives in Florida.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Janet's going to be my assistant today. Commissioners, thank you so much. We're very, very grateful for Nassau County's leadership, Nassau County's compassion, and Nassau County's ability to see forward. Blood clots are a kitchen table issue affecting people all across the state of Florida. Almost every family, every kitchen household has a blood clot story. And so when you think about what has been happening here in the state of Florida, we are losing way more people than what we understand. But I wanted to give you an update. The work group is going to come out with their recommendations. Those are coming in January 4th, which would have been Emily's birthday. And it's expected they're going to request legislative authorization for a data surveillance system, which will be the first in the United States. Believe it or not, this is the first legislation passed in any state. And in fact, other states have copied and pasted the Emily Atkins Prevention Act into their statutes and are pursuing the same course of action Florida is, only Florida's further along. And so one of the things that we also expect and hope to see in the legislation that will be coming forward this next year is a screening process. So when you come into the hospital, you come into a healthcare facility, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. But one of the questions they don't ask you is, what is your Caprini risk score? What is your family history for blood clots in your family or stroke? Because it's all kind of the same thing. And they don't question, whether or not you are at high risk. And so being at high risk really poses a danger to your health, safety, and well-being. Emily died within an hour of onset of symptoms, less than an hour actually. And she just never had a chance. And so we want others to have a chance. And we want others to be able to avoid the walk that we walk every day. So one of the things that we're working on at Emily's Promise is a docu-series. And obviously, the leadership of this commission will be part of our docu-series. It'll be a 3-part docu-series that we intend to not only tell Emily's story, but other stories. We're collecting stories all across Florida. We're collecting medical science and evidence from professionals all across the United States right now. That filming should be wrapping up hopefully later this year, early into next year, and production will start on the docu-series. We are also have a poster campaign, and we've got 3 posters here for you guys. We have more if you decide you want them. But this was developed with medical experts in terms of when to request a stat DVT consult or a stat PE consult, because time is of the essence. And so what we hope is to make these posters available to people who are laypersons, not medical professionals, in order to draw their attention to this issue, and hopefully somebody can pull the trigger on it. So this month we will also be doing some newspaper ads you'll see in your local publications. Again, if we can get people to ask the doctor, what is my blood clot prevention plan? If you can just get those words out of your mouth and you can convey that to your healthcare provider, it will draw their attention to your risk and your risk levels, because if you're at risk, definitely you need to have a blood clot prevention plan. So, again, blood clots, are, if secondary to cancer, for cancer patients, blood clots are the -- 1 cause of death. People who've had a baby, 12 weeks after having a baby, your #1 risk of maternal death is a blood clot. And so when you think about, if you've had a surgery, 80% of orthopedic surgeries will result in a blood clot. 100 out of 150 ankle fractures will result in a blood clot. If you're over 60, a lot of us in Nassau County are over 60, your risk level goes up by 100-fold. So it's very serious for us, and again, I can't express my appreciation to this commission, its staff, and our community for making awareness a priority, because just hopefully if we can just save one life, just one person, it'll be worth it. I'll leave these here for you. Or
Thank you.
I'll hand to your clerk here. Here.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Gray.
Yes, sir. Mr. and Ms. Atkins, thank you very much for what you're doing for humanity and mankind. I knew Emily. I'm wearing her purple label right here on my jacket. She was a rising star in our community. So thank you very much for everything you're doing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't, you're not going to hurt our feelings. So, as we give these proclamations out and resolutions, you're free to leave if you're a recipient right after that. We don't expect you to stay for the whole meeting. Tab B, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners proclaiming the week of October 20 through October 26, 2024, and Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, as Pink Day in Nassau County, Florida. Entertain a motion to approve tab B.
So moved.
Second?
Motion from Commissioner McCullough, second by Commissioner Huttman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and it will be, the proclamation will be presented by Commissioner McCullough. So if there's anyone here to receive that proclamation, please come up to the podium.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a cancer survivor of breast cancer.
Yes, sir. Welcome. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. This is a proclamation of the Nassau County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming October 20th through October 26th, 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Week in Nassau County, Florida, and declaring Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024 as Pink Day. Whereas breast cancer touches the lives of Americans from every background in every community across our nation. And whereas the American Cancer Society estimated that in 2024, approximately 310,720 new cases of invasive breast cancer would be diagnosed in women in the U.S., along with 56,500 new cases of non-invasive breast cancer. And whereas breast cancer in men is rare, however, there is an estimated 2,790 men in the United States that will develop breast cancer this year. And whereas, besides skin cancer, breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among American women, affecting 1 in 8 women. Whereas breast cancer awareness educates women about the importance of early detection. And whereas death rates from breast cancer have been declining, and this change is believed to be the result of early detection, improved treatment, and whereas of January 2024, there are more than 4 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. And this includes women currently being treated and women that have finished treatment. And whereas, in remembrance of many women and men who have lost their lives to breast cancer, and in support of those who are currently fighting this disease, every citizen is encouraged to take part in activities that promote breast cancer awareness. Now therefore it be proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that on the 16th day of October 2024, number 1, October 20th through October 26th, 2024, is proclaimed as Breast Cancer Awareness Week in Nassau County, Florida. Number 2, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, is proclaimed Pink Day in Nassau County, Florida. And all residents, including men, are encouraged to participate because real men wear pink too. And number 3, the board urges everyone to promote breast cancer awareness and remind everyone of the values of early detection. And this is certified by Mr. John Crawford. It is, our chairman has attested to it, and Ms. Denise May. And I'm actually humbled and honored to present this as a woman, number one, as I have my sister-in-law, she is a breast cancer survivor, my mother's a breast cancer survivor, and my mother-in-law is actually going through a series of different things. So I am honored, I am privileged, I am grateful that you have this advocacy in our community, and it is an absolute privilege to be in your honor and give you this proclamation this morning. And I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Thank you.
A little nervous, but first of all, good morning, and thank y'all so much for this proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Week. I'm a survivor. I was actually 38 when I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I was active duty Navy at that particular time, and I had 2 small children, and boy. But I just thank God for being here, be able to be here today, to receive this award and be in the position working at the health department, I can be able to spread the awareness more freely, and also, but amongst the people I work with, amongst the people here in Nassau County, and I also participate in Duval as well on the series of walks and things like that as well. So I'm just grateful for this. And this is today, 11 years later, this is my first time meeting a breast cancer survivor male. I've heard people talk about them, but a lot of when it's come to male and breast cancer, they be like, yeah, okay. But it does happen, and I was just reading some statistics on it right before I got here as well, and just so happened, he was here as well. What is your name? Mr. Jose was here as well. So I just thank y'all for this wonderful proclamation, being able to come up here and talk to everyone about this. And please bring awareness to not just the women, to men as well. In genetics, you might don't feel a lump, or you might don't see this and see that, but just please get tested. Nobody in my family has breast cancer. I was one of the ones that just like, hey, you're the lucky one. I guess you can call it the lucky one, but yeah, when they found out about it, because I didn't have a lump either, but it was other things that led up to them giving me a mammogram early and saying, yeah. So I lost a lot. Of course, my hair. I lost a lot of self-esteem. I had a lot of self-esteem issues, but I thank God for every day having people bringing awareness, people encouraging me, people in the public, people, just saying, you're doing a good job, keep up the good work. And I'm so happy to be here today to accept this on behalf of Florida Department of Health of Nassau County, and also for all of us survivors that are out here fighting the fight, and the people who are going through the treatment as well. It is a tough fight, but at the end, they will survive, it's such a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jose Garcia. I will be 81 years old this month on the 29th. And it's 6 years ago, I discovered just bathing a little lump in my left breast, and in 2 weeks it was the size of an avocado pit. So we went, and it was positive, they took it out. And my other breast, the doctor said 90% possibility, so I said, well, out with it again. So I am a survivor. I have been checked by my oncologist recently, and he said to me, I'll see you in a year. So it's very, I'm very lucky, I'm very grateful. Thank you all for this great proclamation. And I try to make aware a lot of the men that I meet, because they're very curious about a man that had breast cancer. In my family, I am the third male to have breast cancer. So thank you very much again, and I'll keep on making sure people are aware of all this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It looks great. Not a single hair out of place.
I say that a lot. For those that didn't hear Mr. Garcia, before the photo, he asked if his hair was okay. Okay, that'll move us into tab C, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming the week of October 25th to November 2nd, 2024 as Mobility Week.
Move to approve tab C, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Huttman, second by Commissioner Farmer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Gray is going to present this proclamation. If there's anyone here to accept it, please come to the podium.
Unfortunately, she is home sick today, so we told her we would send her a copy.
Okay,
I didn't hear that. What was that statement?
so do we want to
Individual
just,
that was coming from DOT is sick today, so she will not be here.
Okay.
do we want to just read it into the record, or?
Susan, Robert.
Sure, go ahead.
I have a member in the audience that serves on the Transportation Disadvantage, but I don't know if she's going to come. She's heading out the door. Ms. Baptista. How are you? Good morning. Since you serve on the Transportation Disadvantage Board, would you like to help receive this proclamation? Okay. Good morning, everyone. So this is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, proclaiming the week of October 25th through November 2nd, 2024 as Mobility Week. Whereas Mobility Week is a cooperative effort by the Florida Department of Transportation and its partner agencies to promote awareness of safe, multimodal transportation choices by hosting an annual collection of outreach events. And whereas Mobility Week is an ideal time for counties, cities, and transportation agencies to highlight transportation achievements, roll out new initiatives, and/or implement new policies promoting multimodal transportation. And whereas Mobility Week is an opportunity for individuals to explore how various active travel choices like walking, biking, riding, transit, or carpooling reduces traffic congestion and can be excellent alternative travel choices. And whereas since inception, more than 1,000 Mobility Week events have been held statewide with over 500,000 safety materials to improve safety of people. And whereas during the Mobility Week 2023, over 220 workplaces and 1,000 Floridians recorded almost 18,000 trips through carpool, vanpool, biking, transit, and walking. And whereas Mobility Week is consistent with Nassau County's key priorities of improving mobility within our county and creating a multimodal transportation system which will safely and efficiently move people and goods. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, on the 16th day of October 2024, hereby designates the week of October 25th through November 2nd, 2024 as Mobility Week. And this is attested to the chairman's signature by John A. Crawford, John F. Martin, our chairman, and approved by the Nassau County Attorney, Ms. Denise May. Thank you all both for coming up and accepting this proclamation and not leaving it for by myself. And Ms. Baptista, she serves on the Transportation Disadvantage Board with me here in Nassau County, and I want to thank you very much for your efforts and all your help you do to volunteer and serve in Nassau County.
Pleasure, Madeline.
I got to take my glasses off for this photo, okay? I'm very photogenic, but not.
Your hair looks good, too.
Let me hold this up.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. All right, tab D, approved proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, excuse me, recognizing Michael J. Combs on his retirement from Nassau County Fire Rescue. I was informed that Engineer Combs could not be here today, so unless he's walked in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the, since he's not here, I'm going to read the proclamation into the record. Up first.
Motion to approve
Motion
tab
to-
D, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, motion.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Hupman, second by Commissioner Farmer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, honoring Michael Combs on his retirement after 24 years of service to the county. Whereas Michael Combs began his employment with Nassau County on September 5th, 2000, as a firefighter EMT, and whereas Michael Combs was promoted to engineer on November 9th, 2004, and stayed in that position until he announced his retirement effective November 4th, 2024. And whereas Michael Combs has consistently given his all for the employees and residents of Nassau County and has reflected great credit upon himself and the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas Michael Combs will be greatly missed by those who had the pleasure to work with him, as well as the citizens of Nassau County that he worked so hard to protect. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on the 16th day of October, 2024, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that the board publicly commends Michael Combs for his outstanding service and dedication to Nassau County. The board, on behalf of all citizens of Nassau County, extends their sincere appreciation to Michael Combs for all he has done to make this county great. The board hereby expresses best wishes to Michael Combs for continued health and happiness in the years to come, and is signed by me as chairman, John Crawford as clerk, and Denise May as our county attorney. So congratulations, Engineer Combs, and I hope you have a very happy and healthy retirement. Thank you for your service. All right, tab E, approve a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, recognizing Jerry Walden on his retirement from Nassau County Fire Rescue.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Farmer, second by Commissioner Hupman. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And this proclamation and the next one will be presented by Commissioner Farmer. So if,
Would you like to go ahead and get a motion to approve tab F as well?
we might as well do that.
So moved, Mr.
All
Chairman,
right.
to approve tab F.
A motion from Commissioner Hupman, second by Commissioner Farmer on tab F, and this is for recognizing Dale Green on his retirement from Nassau County Fire Rescue. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So would Mr. Walden and come to the podium if he's here.
Green.
I figure you do them one at a time.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, honoring Jerry Walden on his retirement after 21 years of service to the county. Whereas Jerry Walden began his employment with Nassau County on August 18, 2003 as a firefighter paramedic, and whereas Jerry Walden was promoted to an engineer on April 26, 2007, and stayed in that position until he announced his retirement effective November 16, 2024, and whereas Jerry Walden has consistently given his all for the employees and residents of Nassau County and has reflected great credit upon the Board of County Commissioners, and whereas Jerry Walden will be greatly missed by those who had the pleasure to work with him, as well as the citizens of Nassau County that he worked so hard to protect. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the 16th day of October 2024, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that the Board publicly commends Jerry Walden for his outstanding service and dedication in Nassau County. The Board, on behalf of all the citizens of Nassau County, extends their sincere appreciation to Jerry Walden for all he has done to make this county great. The Board hereby expresses best wishes to Jerry Walden for continued health and happiness in the years to come. And this is signed by John Martin, the chairman, John Crawford, the clerk, and Denise May, the county attorney. And congratulations, Jerry. Congratulations, and they all expect a speech, so you know.
Coming here from a smaller department 21 years ago was a big thing for me, big change. I had to drive 50 miles to work, but it was a good decision. Nassau County is a great place to work, and as county commissioners, you guys have a tough job ahead of you. I've lived through the growing pains you're going through right now, and it's hard. It's really hard to play catch up with public safety and to do what you guys got to do. But I've lived through it, and I know the struggles. It was a decision I had to do to change for my family, and it was a hard decision to retire, believe it or not. It's a hard decision, you know, you want to give it up, but then you love this job so much. And then after surviving COVID 4 times, you go, you know what? I'm not Superman. There is a kryptonite here. And it's time. It's a young man's game, and it's time for me to move on and take care of my family. Nassau County's taking care of me, so, you know, it's time for me to return the favor to my family. But it was really a pleasure to work for Nassau County, and I hope things just get better and better. Great things ahead. Take care of my people. You know, take care of the employees, and they'll do good things. They're doing great things now. Look at the progressive EMS system we have, and we have some of the best patient care in the state of Florida. And I go all over the state. I have friends from South Florida to West Florida, and our progressive system, it really saves lives. I mean, we do great with a little bit, and thank you again. Thank you.
Dale Green, please come to the podium.
Morning, sir. Good to see you. Yes, sir. This is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, honoring Dale on his retirement after 30 years of service to the county. Whereas Dale Green began his employment with Nassau County on August 23, 1994, as a firefighter EMT, and whereas Dale Green was promoted to an engineer on March 6, 1997, and stayed in that position until he announced his retirement effective October 30, 2024. And whereas Dale Green has consistently given his all for the employees and residents of Nassau County and has reflected great credit upon the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas Dale Green will be greatly missed by those who had the pleasure to work with him, as well as the citizens of Nassau County that he worked so hard to protect. Now therefore be it proclaimed the 16th day of October 2024 by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County that the Board publicly commends Dale Green for his outstanding service and dedication to Nassau County. The Board, on behalf of all the citizens of Nassau County, extends their sincere appreciation to Dale Green for all he has done to make this county great. The Board hereby expresses best wishes to Dale Green for continued health and happiness in the years to come. Signed by John Martin, John Crawford, and Denise May. Congratulations, sir. Mike is yours.
How y'all doing today?
Good morning.
Good.
I want to thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank.
You're too young to retire. Well, you look too young to retire.
I thank you on that.
You're welcome.
I don't feel it, but I just like to thank the man upstairs for giving me this opportunity to be here for 30 years. You know, I'm one of the few can say that. In Nassau County Fire Rescue, we probably only have 5 guys that do 30 years. So I've been here doing the time where we only had 30, 40 firemen. And we got it done with 30, 40 firemen. How we did it. Now we have, how many, Chief? 150. So I've been here. I've seen the growth of a lot. I also would like to give thanks and my gratitude to Chief Mike Green for giving me the opportunity 30 years ago. He hired me. He trusted in me. It's been a ride. That's all I can say. It's been a ride. You know, I'm also proud to say this. I'm the first African American to do 30 years in Nassau County. I'm the first one to come out of American Beach too, and I'm very proud of that. Like I say, it's been a ride, and I met some great people. And 25 years ago, I had the opportunity to go over to Jacksonville, and I slept on it for a while. And the reason why I stayed, of some great guys I worked with, it was a relationship that kept me around. And I stayed because of them. I stayed because we had a relationship. It was great, and we enjoyed each other. And that's what it's all about. When you're with a crew that you enjoy, and you know they have your back, and you're doing things. Some of them guys was there for my son baptism. I got married. We was a clonet, and that's what kept me here. And I think that's what we need to do more of, is our relationships with our crews. And that make a difference. But a couple of years ago, I started thinking about what could I do to make Nassau County a better place. And it's all about the youth with me. I actually was a high school coach over 35 years. I was pretty good too. I'm gonna let you know that. Don't sleep on, I was just coaching. I was pretty good. You go to the state of Florida, I was head coach at Reebok High School, I was head coach. That's the powerhouse in Jacksonville. But I always gave back. I always gave my time to the youth. And then when I came to Nassau County, I never thought about retiring. And you don't get on the job to retire. It just happens. And 25 started looking at things, well, how could I get back? Because Nassau County has been good to me. It's been good to my family. I put two kids to college. One was is a nurse and a Jaguar cheerleader for 6 years. And my son is graduated Norwich College in Vermont, and he decided to join his father. He woke up one day. His mom called me and said, "Dad, I want to go to fire school after he graduated." I said, "Oh, really?" It kind of surprised me, but he did it. And Nassau County did that for me. They helped me out. You know, they put me in a position where I can take care of my family. And that's very important to me. And it helped me out. But I started thinking about, I knew this day was coming. What can I do? My mom raised me to give back. You know, you have to give back, especially when people look out. Some of us leave, and they leave and not come back. You know, it's real easy to leave and move on. That's what they say, but that's not me. And I thought about how could I give back. So I started this foundation. And I have some pamphlets for y'all. And I think I got in contact with a couple of people. And I was talking to Chief Rigg and Chief Rowland about it. And we had a conversation about it. And I kind of passed it on to my colleagues. But as I was about 4 or 5 years ago, but I decided to do this. I decided to start a nonprofit here in Nassau County. And I want to put, God will, and I'm going to do this, 2 students in Nassau County to become firefighters. I want to put them through fire school. It's going to take some work. You probably see me, that's what I told you. I'm not done with Nassau County. I'm going around to the schools. I'm really with the guy in the county because I know how to move. Being a coach and being able to go into these schools and see, talk to the guy in the council, talk to the football team, talk to the volleyball team. Just talk about Nassau, how cool Nassau is, you know. And the guy teasing me when I say this, but I really mean this logo. You know, Clay County had, y'all might not remember, Clay County had Clay Strong. Duval is Duval. But I always say this, I wanted to make Nassau cool. So I call it Nassau Cool. You know what I'm saying? Great place to work, lovely place to work. And as Jared said, you know, we have some great guys that work. And to take care of the guys, because I spent a lot of time away from my family. And some kind of way I made it work where I was always there for my son. I was always there for my son and my daughter. I don't know how I did it. I did it. You know, I did it. And I have to give Nassau props on that for helping me out. And I would like to say to Chief Rigner, you're doing a great job, man. Keep it up, no matter what they say. You're my guy. You know, anything I can do to help Nassau County, I'm always a step away. And to my union brothers, Gil, when he was coming up, he's a captain now, but me and Steve, my lieutenant, we was always hanging out. And I was always saying, you want to stay away from the crazy uncles. You know, you got the crazy, you got the cool uncle. You know what I'm saying? And I was a cool uncle. And he started calling me. I started calling him nephew. He started calling me uncle. Because we always made things loose at the station. Always did. We always had fun. We loved each other. That's basically what it was. And I just want to say, yeah, great job, man. Great job. And to my union brothers, man, just let them know I'm always a step away. Okay? Thank y'all. I want to leave y'all with this. Is it possible?
You've got a banner, a poster.
Yeah, the banner. I had the banner, but I
Let's get
also
that-
have the thing.
So if we get it on camera, people can see what you're trying to do.
This is.
They can zoom in on that, IT. There we go. Don't move, the IT's zooming in on you. There you go. Okay, great, thanks.
And what it is, just giving back and going to the school. I'll be going to school and paying for two.
They're gonna do this every year?
Every year.
Two-
I'm here.
Okay.
Every year. I want to add more to it if I can, but this first year for 2025.
How much you need to raise a year to do that?
About $5 grand, about 10 grand.
I think you're gonna be able to do that.
Yeah. Pray for me.
Thank you. Okay, that will lead us into presentations. Time limit for presentation is 15 minutes. County manager, recognize employees for years of service.
So my friend Travis was not able to make it today because he had a work-related item he needed to take care of. So we're going to wait and recognize Travis at a later meeting.
And that was the only one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Consent items. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business, please do so now. All right. Does any member of the public want to speak on a consent item? I see none. I have no comment cards. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gray.
I make a motion to approve the consent item agenda, please.
Second?
Motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Hupman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Any member of the public may address any item under new business at this time, or they can wait until it comes up, when that tab comes up. Time limit is 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address any item under new business at this time? Okay. Tab K, authorize the chairman to sign amendment number 2 to the agreement with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, contract number CM 3476, Florida Resilient Grant Implementation Plan 23 FRP08. Mr. Ironman or Mr. Pope, any comments on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just this grant is part of the funding that we're working with on the stormwater to really alleviate some of the items down in Thomas Creek, purchasing some of those properties. It's a $1.4 million grant with a $1.4 million match. That match has been previously approved by the board. Basically, the amendment today is to extend this term until December 2026 to ensure we can utilize those funds properly.
Any questions for Mr. Ironman?
No, sir.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Farmer, second by Commissioner McCullough. Any discussion, comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Tab L, approve and authorize the chairman to sign the grant of easement from property owners Raymond and Andrea and Ashton Smith, described in the official record book, 1628, page 1903, and approve the road department to maintain the drainage easement.
Yes, sir. As is customary in Nassau County, we have a number of drainage conveyance systems that go into larger outfalls. Because we are still rural in many areas, a lot of it is done via easement on private property. And so you have a couple of easements on your agenda today, this being the first of two, that allows us to go in and do work and improve drainage infrastructure for the greater community.
And so that's the same thing for the next tab also. So,
Yes, sir.
I won't put you on the spot here. Entertain a motion for tab L.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Farmer. Questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr.
Tab-
Chairman, I'm sorry, make a motion then to approve tab M as well.
Let me read it into the record first. Tab M, approve and authorize the chairman to sign the grant of easement from property owners Jarrett Colby and Amy Lynn Sinclair, described in the official record book 2227, page 1369, and approve the road department to maintain the drainage easement.
I move to approve tab M.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Gray. Questions, comments, or discussion?
That was seconded by-
Commissioner, second by Commissioner Farmer. Questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks for backing me up there. Tab N, resolution to consider adoption of the Nassau County Transit Study 2024 update.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, you got a presentation? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you all know that we have been working to update the transit study. The first transit study was done in 2015.
For those that don't know, this is Holly Coyle.
I am Holly Coyle with the Planning Department and Strategic Advancement as well. So
I
we,
didn't distract your train of thought, did I?
no, well, a little bit. So this is an update to the 2015 study. A lot of things have happened since that time. We've experienced COVID, which really changed some of the travel patterns and the ridership in the transit system. We've had a lot of growth, obviously, so it was time to go back out into the community, look at the existing conditions, how they've changed, and talk to the community to see what their needs were and how we could accommodate those. So we had a great steering committee through this process with members of our NPA, the Nassau Prosperity Alliance. We just want to thank them, thank the chamber, the Economic Development Board, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the SBDC for their support throughout this process as well. We are here with our partners today, JTA, who will present the final study and the recommendations. First up is Greer Johnson Gillis. She's the Senior Vice President, Chief Infrastructure and Development Officer, that's almost as long as Brandy's title, for JTA.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Martin, members of the Board of County Commissioners. As Ms. Holly said, my name is Greer Johnson Gillis with the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, and I'm here with the team from the JTA. Along with me is our Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Jeff Smith, our Director of Mobility Services, Mr. Donovan Caliker, our Director of Planning and Sustainability, Mr. Alexander Traversa, and our Program Manager for Planning and Data Analytics, Jeremy Norrisworthy. We have been excited to partner with the county to help you in two distinct areas, not just the Nassau County Transit Study, but also serving as the Community Transportation Coordinator. But first, I'm here to bring greetings from our CEO, Mr. Nat Ford, who is not able to be with us today. He, too, was very excited to stand in partnership with the county. And so he wanted me to extend his gratitude to all of you for the opportunity to serve the residents in the community of Nassau County. We're here today to be able to walk you through the recommendations of the Nassau County Transit Study. And I want to take this opportunity to thank County Manager Pope, Deputy County Manager, Assistant County Manager Arman, Ms. Holly, and the entire Nassau County staff. We could not have been able to deliver this transit plan without the support and the partnership from the county staff. What we're here to provide to you today is how we were able to do a very robust stakeholder engagement, as Ms. Holly mentioned, to really hear from all of the community and how we can best serve the county's needs when it comes to access to employment, access to health care, addressing tourism transportation, and improving access to the rural communities. What you will hear today is a plan, a proposed system that would provide seamless mobility solutions throughout the entire county. And so with that, I will now turn it over to Alexander Traversa, Director of Planning and Sustainability, and he will share details on the study findings and recommendations for your thoughtful consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Greer, for the introduction, and good morning, Board of County Commissioners, Nassau County. I echo Holly and Greer's gratitude for the support of the county as we undertook this effort, and I'll be sharing those key findings with you, and I'm going to make sure I can click through this. So JTA, safety is paramount in all of our operations, so we like to start each of our presentations with our safety message of the month. This month for October, it's start each day with safety on your mind. So as we kind of engage in all of our efforts, we like to ensure that safety is paramount. So just considering that as we move through this. I'll touch on some of the key study objectives that we were set out early on in the study to identify and understand. I'll talk through some of those public engagement results and transit needs and gaps analysis that was conducted in the existing condition analysis that Holly mentioned. And then I'll walk through the service recommendations. Those are broken up into three time horizons: a short-term scenario, 1 to 2 years, medium-term scenario, 3 to 5 years, and then a long-term scenario of 5+ years. And really just highlight those key study outcomes. So when we talk about study objectives, we really were focusing on analyzing the performance of the existing transit services in Nassau County. We know there are lasting impacts, as Holly mentioned, from the pandemic and the way people have moved or are moving through the county and into the region, which shows, and that chart on the right really shows that. You can see kind of pre-COVID and post-COVID ridership trends on the Nassau Express Select service. The good news is ridership is rebounding on that. And really, we use this as kind of a good starting point to understand how is those travel patterns changing and what are those changing needs of the community as we look to the future. And that's really what we sought out to achieve through this transit study. To that point, we also wanted to address those changing conditions, changing needs of the community, and identify those unmet transit needs. We sought to improve regional connections, both to the JTA service area, but kind of throughout the Northeast Florida region. We know people's travel needs don't end at our jurisdictional boundaries of our cities and counties, and regional mobility is really critical to ensuring seamless mobility for residents, employers, and visitors to our counties. We wanted to identify areas to promote transit infrastructure and support that multimodal transportation strategy and seamless mobility to provide complete trips in the county and throughout the region. So as mentioned, over the course of the study, a variety of methods were used to engage the community to gather feedback to better understanding the mobility needs and gaps in transportation services. As mentioned, the steering committee was instrumental and was comprised of agency, business, and community leaders, and really was the kind of sounding board for key milestones throughout the study, ensuring that we were getting their feedback and guidance on the recommendations that we were crafting. We did a lot of workshops here in this room where the steering committee was able to kind of brainstorm some of the recommendations that we're sharing with you today based on the feedback we received from those public meetings. Additionally, the project team participated in several community events and held small group meetings with various stakeholders. That included the hospitality industry, social services, and Nassau County School District, among others. And in-person public open houses were held in various areas within Nassau County, from Callahan to Fernandina Beach, in December 2023 and in February earlier this year, to really kind of get public feedback at key points throughout the study as we developed the service recommendation framework, and then as we developed those recommendations, giving the public an opportunity to respond to those recommendations. And then lastly, an online survey launched in the fall of 2023, which was essential in gathering the additional input on the awareness and desire for transit services in Nassau County. We also, as mentioned, hosted an online open house give the public an opportunity to respond to the recommendations as a result of the study. Just some high-level data points from the survey that we wanted to share. Here you can see some of those key metrics. The survey was deployed in the early stages of the project, and we collected about 402 surveys across the county, as well as some from the kind of Jacksonville area and existing transit users. You can see those responses were really highlighting, sorry, one second. Prioritizing access to jobs, medical services on the left-hand side, service to low-income or high-need populations, including those senior populations, and transit connections to shopping, recreation, and entertainment. On the right-hand side, you can see another data point. So notably, 91% of our survey respondents have never used the transit services that exist today in Nassau County, but 84% would be willing to try at least one type of transit trip, right? And so that is a really encouraging metric when we look at transit propensity or use of transit. And so really it's identifying the solutions that fit those transportation needs. The stakeholders identified 4 key themes for improving transportation in Nassau County. First and foremost, that's building awareness of existing transportation services, addressing the urgent need to provide workforce transportation to major employment centers. We know that today, that's Fernandina Beach, Amelia Island, and Hilliard, but the projections from the existing conditions and the analysis show that expanding along State Road 200 into Yulee and Callahan, and growing pretty tremendously by 2045. We wanted to improve connections to the Jacksonville region, including the airport in downtown Jacksonville. There's a lot of cross-county trips that are occurring, and enhancing transportation for visitors to Amelia Island area. That was a major item we heard throughout the study, and it also leans into the connections to the airport as a form of tourism support and transportation. So as mentioned previously, the recommendations were organized into 3 time horizons. That's the short term, which are really improvements proposed within the 1 to 2 year timeline. These are considered higher priority changes. These were immediate gaps that required some transportation services to address, and that they really could be made with either existing resources or augmentation of some of those existing transit services that are being provided today. The second group is that medium term, really addressing recommendations in the 3 to 5 year horizon with moderate additional investment. This might be additions of new routes or significant changes to existing routes. And then finally, the long term, which aims to support the vision of Nassau County by really emphasizing the multimodal transportation support, leaning into technology, reflecting on that vision, but it does require a much higher level of investment to make that happen. So that's really how we laid out the recommendations. I'll now kind of walk through each of the recommendations in each category to provide some background on those. So our approach in the short-term scenario focused on enhancing existing transit services and augmenting them to address current gaps and needs. The first short-term recommendation expands the existing Nassau Express Select service. That service currently runs from Jacksonville to Yulee. It's a commuter-based service. It's only a few trips in the morning, a few trips in the afternoon. This increase would provide new connections to employment for riders traveling to and from the JTA service area to Nassau County, as well as adding a new stop at the River City Marketplace. This stop would then facilitate connections to JTA services that provide access to the VA hospital in River City there. So really providing that healthcare access, but then adding some additional trips to the Nassau Express Select. Recommendation 2 aims to modernize demand response service. In this case, demand response service is focusing on that paratransit service. This option would be a conversion to a service similar to JTA's Ready Ride service. It's a zone-based microtransit. It's on demand. You can kind of dial a ride and have that door-to-door service within a zone. This zone would enable residents to more easily reach retail and healthcare destinations along State Road 200 and A1A, and transition riders from paratransit to that on-demand service. So really just shifting riders from paratransit, which can be quite expensive as a transit mode, to a zone-based microtransit. The third recommendation is to facilitate partnerships for the first and last mile segment of a trip. Potential partners to support this service include the Chamber of Commerce, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and major resorts, which represent key partners in the hospitality industry. These services are typically oriented around the needs of employees and patrons of tourist destinations, and it's recommended that, an approach to seek private sector partners to both fund and implement those services is key to our recommendation. And then the final recommendation for the short-term scenario is to improve the visibility of major stops, which can help improve community awareness of available transit options and ultimately increase transit ridership and transit use and reducing that traffic and congestion. We see this as an opportunity for, not adding a bunch of transit stops into the community. We heard throughout the process that, that wasn't, desire of the county. And so focusing more on mobility hubs or hubs where you could, connect between services, whether it be that commuter service or that microtransit service, and being able to transfer between those modes to facilitate that seamless trip without scattering infrastructure kind of throughout the county. And so here's just some maps displaying some of the recommendations from the short-term scenario. On the left shows the recommendations for a zone-based microtransit, the area designated by the blue and then the hashed blue area being that proposed recommended zone. The area in yellow is the existing paratransit coverage for the county. And so really it would just be able to kind of offset some of those paratransit trips within the Yulee and Fernandina Beach areas. On the right, you can see basically what is the existing Nassau Express Select with the added stop at River City Marketplace, just a short detour off its current route, and adding those additional trips. For the medium-term scenario, this targets that 3 to 5 year time horizon, really focused on creating new transit connections to the west side of the county, providing transit service along State Road 200, which could help alleviate that congestion, providing regional connections to Amelia Island and Fernandina Beach. Recommendation 5 really focuses on new flex routes. This would be implementing 2 new flex routes connecting the rural town centers to Yulee and JTA service areas. These routes would allow residents of each rural town center to connect to either that Nassau Express Select, the JTA Ready Ride services or the zone-based microtransit in Yulee, as well as JTA's First Coast Flyer system in northern Jacksonville at Armsdale Park and Ride. A key feature of flex routes is really their ability for customers to, upon request, deviate 3/4 of a mile from that predetermined route, which allows for kind of home-based or door-to-door type service if you're within that 3/4 mile area, allowing that to reduce the need for kind of that first and last mile connection within that corridor, and provide better accessibility for those routes. Recommendation 6 builds on the first short-term recommendation and extends the Nassau Express Select service to Fernandina Beach. This extension would provide a direct connection between downtown Jacksonville and Amelia Island, improving access for residents seeking either those employment opportunities as well as visitors traveling to and from the island, and then makes use of the rest of the route there. This also provides that connection to JTA's Route 1 at River City, which would then be a direct connection or a 2-trip ride to the Jacksonville airport. So providing that connection from the airport to Fernandina Beach. Recommendation 7 is the continued demand response service modernization. So a lot of the recommendations focus on continuing refining the paratransit and the demand response boundaries. So in conjunction with the introduction of flex routes, which are open to all riders, this recommendation would revise the eligibility requirements for the rural demand response service to focus on the state of Florida's transportation disadvantage requirements. That would allow you to shift some of those trips that are occurring on paratransit to your flex route services, which can often be a little bit more efficient and resource efficient. This option really prioritizes demand response service for passengers with disabilities, offering that curb-to-curb service for the customers who need it most while improving the regional connections available to the general public. Recommendation 8, the final in the medium-term scenario, focuses on continued investment in mobility hub infrastructure. Again, really just leading into and creating a visible network for customers to be able to leverage these services, working with City of Fernandina Beach to identify sites of branded stops and shelters, really at those key nodes to facilitate those transfers between the different types of modal services. And that can even be, incorporation of bike racks or other micro-transit type modes to facilitate that first and last mile connection. Here you can see just a couple of more maps highlighting those recommendations. So on the left, you can see the extension from Yulee to Fernandina Beach with that small loop on the Nassau Express Select, extending that and allowing those connections to the Jacksonville Airport and, direct connection from Fernandina Beach to downtown Jacksonville. As well as on the right, you can see the flex route, the line in red being the route, the highlighted area around it being that 3/4 mile buffer, allowing for that deviation within that corridor, but making connections to Yulee to the western side of the county, connecting Hilliard, Callahan, and then northern Jacksonville. And then moving into the long-term scenario, under this scenario, the focus was really increasing efficiency, adding frequency, and implementing technology to the service options. So recommendation 9 expands and improves the demand response service. This could include adding additional vehicles during peak hours to facilitate, allowing more trips to be done during that time period. Expanding service area boundaries to cover new developments as they arise, or to allow future developments to occur, or extending service hours to better coverage of employers' shift times or overnight hours. This could also include the incorporation of an app-based system. So right now, our model works on a dial-a-ride system. In the future, we envision that moving towards a kind of app-based, similar to your Ubers and Lyfts, where you can, quickly request that service and have kind of live vehicle tracking and all of the technology that comes with that. Recommendation 10 really improves the frequency on the Nassau Express Select service. As mentioned, this is currently operating as a commuter-based service with limited trips in the morning and afternoon. Some of the previous scenarios added a few trips, but it kept it, fairly focused on kind of commuter-based afternoon and evening trips. This would offer more frequent all-day service at 30 minutes, making it a true kind of transit connection and really reducing the need for customers to utilize a schedule or something like that to identify when that bus is coming. Just making it more reliable and providing more access throughout the day. Recommendation 11 focuses on the expansion of first and last mile options, such as the introduction of new transit modes. This might be those micromobility, things like shared bikes and scooters, microtransit, or even employer shuttles, just really facilitating access to our hubs or access to those nodes for the other kind of larger scale transportation services. And then finally, continuing modernizing and expanding the mobility hub infrastructure, gaining visibility for the services, and then, building out those amenities to facilitate customer needs as they leverage these services. So the recommendations from the study really address the community's needs for expanded access to destinations across the region and increases visibility of transit services for Nassau County residents and visitors. This map shows the total or all of the proposed recommendations. And as you can see, it really highlights a connected Nassau County, focusing on that seamless multimodal transportation options for the county, connecting healthcare, employment, and tourism destinations, really aiming to really create this seamless connectivity for Nassau County. We feel these recommendations can help address current transportation needs within the county and also position the county to address its continued growth into the future. So again, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity and the partnership of Nassau County on the transit study and the opportunity to share these findings and recommendations with you. And we look forward to our continued partnership as we improve multimodal access for the region. And with that, I guess we'll address any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Very good presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do we have anyone else from the JTA team coming up? Okay. Okay, Manager, you want to chime in on anything?
I would really appreciate all the help and effort from both the Jacksonville Transit Authority as well as the Nassau team, and as Holly mentioned, the partners at the Nassau Prosperity Alliance. It was a lot of work with members of the Chamber of Commerce, small business community, visitors, convention and Visitors Bureau. And I think you have a really good product. And what I like most about it is it's laid out in a series of bite-sized steps that keep us moving forward in a realistic manner. And I think that was the most important part, is let's start with meeting our basic needs. Let's look at new opportunities like the new VA hospital near River City, and then start expanding from there. And that gives you all the flexibility as you go into your strategic planning sessions and into your budget years, where you can kind of look at a menu and say, okay, you know, we need to get more of our veterans over to the new VA hospital that's on the north side of Jacksonville, or let's partner with the city of Fernandina and the resorts on the south end and really get a handle on mobility on Amelia Island and just west of the Shade Bridge. And so I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate JT and the consulting team really looking at the needs of Nassau County and laying out a plan that's functional and feasible for our constraints.
Thank you. All right, let me go ahead and repeat it because it's a while ago. Tab N, resolution to consider adoption of the Nassau County Transit Study 2024 update.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve tab N.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner McCullough. Questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as with the people that receive presentations, don't feel, you're not going to hurt our feelings if you got to get back to work. Tab O, consider request from the Yulee Holiday Committee to sponsor the 2024 Yulee Holiday Parade and waive permit application fee, and authorize the chairman to sign the temporary closing of state road permit required by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Gray.
make a motion to approve tab O.
Second?
Motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Hupman. Questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, general public comment. Comments can only be for items under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners. Time limit is 3 minutes. I do not have any comment cards here. However, if there's anyone that would like to comment, you can quickly fill out a comment card and give you an opportunity to come to the podium and speak. All right, seeing none, county manager business. I'm assuming the first thing we want to do is the expansion item.
Yes, sir, that would be appreciated.
County manager.
Thank you, sir. As part of the East Nassau Community Planning Area Sector Plan, better or more informally known as Wildlight, there is a Parks and Recreation requirement, and so part of that negotiation and the ultimate approval of the development order include the identification and ultimately the conveyance of specific park sites. And so what you have before you is the actual donation agreement for execution. Allows us to move to closing to acquire, number one, which I think we all agree is really going to be an amazing amenity for the citizens of Nassau County, which is a 10-acre property on the St. Mary's River, or what we used to refer to as the Crandall Boat Ramp. So that'll be reopened to the public. Amazing opportunity. It's absolutely beautiful up there. And then an 80-plus acre expansion of the Yulee Sports Complex. So the land's adjacent to the existing sports complex. That's the first phase in a two-part donation that will ultimately result in roughly 160-acre Yulee Regional Park that will allow us to expand recreational opportunities for all the citizens of Nassau County. And so we'd ask your approval to move forward with this agreement, and then we'll go to closing.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Gray.
I make a motion that we approve the county manager expansion item.
I second that motion, Mr. Gray.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. Questions, comments, or discussion? Commissioner Farmer.
Just like to make a comment and say this is a big, big step in the right direction for Nassau County. I mean, there's obviously 111.15 acres of properties that will be dedicated to the public's use. And it would be a great undertaking to see the people of our community gain access not only to the St. Mary's River, but to expand access to the Yulee Park system.
Commissioner Gray.
Mr. Chairman, can I have my nickel back?
Sure.
Yes, sir. I was gonna wait till commission items, but I want to chime in behind Commissioner Farmer.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up. 101 acres for expansion to our regional sports complex is absolutely wonderful for our community. You know, our youth sports, the way we're expanding here, this is a collaborative effort negotiated through our team, our staff, our county manager, and the planning department, all the staff at DSAP too, that we worked really hard on getting through. You know, I can't say enough about how welcome this is. In the boat ramp park, 10 acres up there on the St. Mary's at Crandall's, beautiful up there. I mean, we don't have a boat ramp launch park north of State Road 200 in Nassau County. This will be the first one that we can launch large vessels, our citizens can. So I just want to, you know, throw that out there, and I love to see this partnership that we've got, we've created along with our staff coming to fruition. This is, you know, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. Is there any more questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any other business, Mr. County Manager?
Yes, sir, I do have one other item I'm going to let Assistant County Manager Ironman address you with.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we recall, in the end of May, we received a request from the fire union as a reopener for their current agreement. Following negotiations, basically on October 4th, we received a ratified response from them. They have ratified Article 16, which is the salary article within their MOU, which leaves it with no changes and just stays with the existing agreement, so it is as is. And just for the record, what that means is captains at the end of the year will receive a rank differential that goes up from 5% to 7.5% above. The pay increase will be 3%. The step increase will be 2.5%, and the paramedic pay will increase 11% up to $2.50 per hour. So with the fire union ratifying that motion to stay as is, what we wanted to do is bring it back to you and just make sure that you are aware of it and ratify it from the board's perspective that we continue with the existing agreement.
Thank you. So is there any further action we need to take?
I would ask for a motion and a vote on that ratification, just basically.
I just want to make one comment before we do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think I read the correspondence you sent me. The union vote on this was, I don't know if I should use the word overwhelming, but it was significant percentage for what we presented.
We'll just say it was approved by their membership, so obviously their negotiating team negotiated with us, they took it back to their membership, the membership supported the action to stay as is. As we know, at the end of the fiscal year.
About a 2-to-1 margin.
Close to that, but yes.
Thank you, I just want to put that out there. Commissioner Hubman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd say that I'd like to recognize both sides of that issue, and the fire and the county, for coming to an agreement where we can move forward into next year with renegotiating a new contract, extended multi-year, that's going to capture all the things that came up in those discussions. That gives us all a clean slate to move forward and have a fresh start. That'll be well for everybody going forward. So excited about that. So, thank you, Mr. Ives.
So we'll get to you, Commissioner Farmer, when we get the motion. How should I phrase the motion?
I would say we were looking for a motion to ratify the results from the union.
I'll entertain a motion to ratify the results of the union.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Commissioner Hupman, second by Commissioner Farmer, and Commissioner Farmer wanted to make a comment.
I just thought I'd just add to what you guys are saying. If you guys are, anybody listening is watching the buzz that was created by this reopener, don't be fooled by the banter on Facebook that nobody wants to come here and work for $14 an hour. Because I'm here to tell you that you got to drill down a little deeper. So if you have questions regarding how someone is paid here in the county, please reach out to some of us so we can explain to you how that works. Because that is sadly not the truth. We take care of our first responders, our public safety officials are paramount to us and the needs of Nassau County citizens. So please don't be a keyboard warrior and jump on that train. Come see us. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer. Any other commissioner would like to question, comment, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, County Manager?
No, sir, thank you.
County Attorney?
I have none, sir.
All right, County Commission items. We'll start with Commissioner Hupman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quickly, because it's been certainly a long one today. 75 years of experience in the fire department, and 3 careers all spent in service to their citizenry. Those are remarkable kinds of people that spend their life in service to somebody else. So I thank those 3 men. Also, I wanted to recognize, not to steal Mr. Gray's thunder, but Mr. Jerry Hinson in the consent item was appointed to the PZB for District 3. He has an extensive resume, and I think he's going to be a great welcome addition to your board, Mr. Chairman, so, to the PZB board. So look forward to working with him going forward. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hupman. Commissioner McCollum?
Yes, sir, I agree. I won't even go into the retirements because y'all know I'll start crying again because it's just so amazing, people who just make Nassau cool. So I'm excited about, I think it's definitely the awareness when we talk about breast cancer, all health issues. You know, Mr. Adkins came up here, we had the breast cancer issue. I think it's, in today's society, there is no reason not to be proactive in your health, caring for yourself inside, outside. So I would encourage everyone to go take those screenings. We have all of these technologies and resources that are at our fingertips for us to be able to continue to live and serve our residents. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, and everybody, I'm going to tell you, come to the fair. I don't have my flyer. I've given them all out, but we are having our market sale Friday evening. Registration starts at 6:30. We will be auctioning off lambs, hogs, steers. It is a great way to fill your freezer. Marshall, I haven't gotten your pre-registration, but I'll check my email inbox again when I leave here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner McCullough. Commissioner Gray?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to throw some quick things out. Like Commissioner Hupman said, congratulations, Mr. Jerry Henson, on an appointment to our Planning and Zoning Board. He currently serves on our Nassau County, on the Nassau County Economic Development Board. And as we all seen, his resume is extensive. So very excited to see him come on board. And also this coming Saturday, 19th, Pirates Woods, we're having a fall festival, and all proceeds will be benefiting the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Come on out for a fun time. I'll be in the dunk tank from 4 to 5 p.m. And this is going to be a great community event to raise money for a good charity. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Farmer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Commissioner Hupman said, engineers Combs, Green, and Walden, the 75 years of institutional knowledge to the fire service, and knowing their community, knowing their residents, serving the people. I mean, it's just, it's a big loss to see that many years of institutional knowledge retire, but in the same token, I'm very tickled that for them and the opportunity that they'll have moving forward to be able to do some things that they maybe not have been able to do while they were working here for the county. So congratulations to those 3 gentlemen, and hopefully we can bring some people into the pipeline that are going to be like-minded and want to make a career here in Nassau County. It is a great place to work. Nassau County Fair, obviously, Commissioner McCullough mentioned it. Let's go out and support that. Man, what a nice place that is to see those state tax dollars roll in there and see the nice buildings and the concrete pads and the things that we didn't have whenever I was growing up is really magnificent out there. You hear nothing but compliments every time, I go out there. People say, man, I don't know who did all this, but this is really nice. I said, well, these were leveraged through our lobbying team, and we're just tickled to death to see those monies come back here and land in Callahan for the use of our citizens. Also, I don't want to fail to mention that the fact that through public-private partnerships like the one we have with FPL, where they've created that parking area for staging area and stuff is also magnificent for our people to know that we have utility providers that are willing to come out and pave a large area that we can actually benefit from during these times, but it also benefits them during the time of storm. I think it's really nice to know that our utility providers care that much about us as a county and about our people and the citizens that they serve. So thank them. Hazardous waste event is coming up this weekend. If you got old paints and things of that nature, you can find all that information over at thecountyinsider.com. Bring that stuff out and let's get rid of it. If it's just sitting there on the shelf somewhere, I don't want to get that phone call, somewhere late December that you guys don't care about us and the old paint on the shelf or whatever the case may be. No, we do this twice a year and it's well advertised, so there's no excuses. Also, there's a few storm systems out there lurking around out there. Let's stay prayed up and stay vigilant and prepared. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer. Well, Commissioner Gray, you want your nickel back?
No,
Oh, Commissioner
sorry.
Hupkey,
Yeah,
thank
yes,
you
sir.
for getting me in the right direction.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did want to mention that this past Sunday, I had the opportunity to participate with the Coalition for the Homeless in Nassau County at their first fundraising endeavor, where it was held out at Craft Athletic Club. A couple hundred people showed up, and it was a great first event for a very important nonprofit in our community. I wanted to bring that up because the nonprofits help us solve problems in the county that isn't part of government business, so to speak. So they're off to a great first step, thanks to our citizens that came out and supported that. And I look forward to partnering them with in the future as we try to work this problem. I brought that up also because there's a count going on this Friday in the county in connection with the coalition to specifically look for homeless veterans in our county and try to get them to the resources in Jacksonville that are available to get them into some temporary housing and hopefully permanent housing. So that's going on this Friday. It's an important endeavor, and I hope folks will help support that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And see, you weren't able to be here Monday, so what you alluded to there was the homeless veteran surge.
Surge, yes, sir.
It's going to be going on at the American Legion Post, I believe.
Correct, and across the county this Friday.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you, sir.
And also, I guess you were the entertainment for,
We donate our time to nonprofits that are trying to help the community.
I don't
And
think
so
people
I'm
realize
proud of my guys for that.
how much you and your bandmates do
Thanks.
for charity. And I understand that they auctioned off a pie. Mayor Bean took a pie in the eye.
He did.
It reminded me of halfway night on submarine.
He's a very humble man that day, Mr. Bean.
So-
He did well.
All right, so we're going to be coming back here. County manager, we have a workshop, so it's almost 10:30. All right, we'll take about a 15-minute break, or we good with that? So let's come back. I'm not going to, I just want to say ditto to everything my colleagues said. I don't want to be repetitive. And so that we can go ahead and adjourn now, and then we'll be back here at 10:45 for a workshop, and you're welcome to attend. We're adjourned.
Ms. Sabrina?
Welcome. I'm going to call this meeting to order, the Nassau County Board of County Commissioners workshop. We're going to start at 10:45. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner McClellan.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Huntman.
Here?
And Chair Martin.
Here. County Manager, have any expansion items?
I do not, sir. Thank you.
County Attorney?
I have none, sir, thank you.
New business. Any member of the public may address any item under new business. You have 3 minutes each. Is there anyone who wishes to address any item under new business? All right, seeing none, we will move into tab A. Presentation, discussion regarding Nassau County Vision 2050. County Manager.
Thank you, sir. Today's an exciting day. We get an update on the progress of your Vision 2050 initiative. You have your consulting team from Texas here, as well as your staff, who's been instrumental in bringing the program to its current state. Before we get into the meat of the discussion, I just wanted to take one moment to kind of put things into context, right? You know, we do a lot of work, but sometimes we forget the context of the work we're doing. Vision 2050 is the foundational element of your 2050 comprehensive plan. The adoption of the 2050 comprehensive plan is the single most important piece of legislation that you will consider as elected official. It is the document from which all other public policy that you set will stem from. When you set new rules, new regulations, consider direction, it will be required to be consistent with your comprehensive plan. And so both as a staff member and you as elected officials, this is a really amazing opportunity we have to shape not just tomorrow, but the next 25 years of our home, the place that we love. Before we get into it, I do want to take a step back. Vision 2032, which is the vision plan we're currently operating under, was completed in 2007. That served as the foundation for your 2030 comprehensive plan. Many of those themes that were relevant in 2007 remain relevant, right? Because let's face it, quality of life, there's certain fundamental elements that we all find necessary, that we all agree to. And to you all's point, and I've heard all of you say it at different times, is we have more in common than we do differences. And if we could focus on the items that we have in common and maintain a proper perspective and a positive outlook, we can accomplish a lot more than we can with divisiveness. And so as we move forward, it's important that we as a community come together and coalesce around a vision that then allows you all as the elected officials to set goals, objectives, and policies that will be adopted in your comprehensive plan. Your comprehensive plan contains 13 different elements. Let's be honest, the future land use element is the one that garners the most attention. That's the one that most everyone pays attention to. It's the most famous one, and that's consistent across the state. But if you look at those items that you have on the screen, it touches everything. It touches almost every aspect of your day-to-day life as a citizen, from housing to conservation, economic development, public facilities, the roads that you drive on, water and sewer. It all comes back. And one that is often overlooked as a statutory requirement is that property rights element. And that's a big deal in Florida, and it's a big deal in Nassau County, as it remembers, while we are striving for what we all consider to be ordered liberty, right? Enough rules to keep us all playing in a good, fair box, but not so much that we impede upon individual rights. And that's part of your comprehensive plan, as part of state statute, is maintaining property rights and acknowledging that you as property owners have the right to use your land for its purpose. Now, statutorily, every 7 years, you're required to do what's called an evaluation and appraisal report. You go through your comprehensive plan, you make updates and ensure it's consistent with Florida statute. In 2023, the state legislature threw us a little curveball. They changed part of the applicable statute to require that your comprehensive plan have at least a 10-year planning horizon. And so we had already, you all, had already funded in 2022 an update to your comprehensive plan. And so now we're just kind of fast track it a little bit more to get it done on time and consistent with state statute. And I bring this up as kind of a side note. I know during this most recent election cycle, there was some say, campaign rhetoric, for lack of a better term, that the reason why the county is doing a 2050 vision is because we failed at the 2032 vision. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, because one, we're required by state statute to do an updated comprehensive plan. And number two, we're actually, as a community as a whole, very successful in implementing Vision 2032. As part of the documentation package you received that will be published today on our website, is a community memorandum. You have it in front of you. Appendix A is a abbreviated performance audit of the implementation of Vision 2032. And so just want to put it on the record that it's absolute nonsense. County and our partners were very successful in implementing Vision 2032 and continue to utilize that vision while we move forward in creating 2050. Vision 2032 is actually a foundational element of Vision 2050. The next thing I just want to bring your attention to as we go through this presentation, you're going to hear a lot of talk about jobs and diversifying the local economy. The reason that's important is because the legal framework of Florida makes it virtually impossible, not virtually, impossible to say no to new development. It's not possible to do that, not legally possible. So your population is going to expand. We're going to go from 90,000 or from 100,000 people to roughly 200,000 people in the next 25 years. That we're not going to be able to control. We can shape it, but we're not going to stop it. What we're going to have to do is work really hard to make sure that we expand our local economy, that we bring in jobs, so that we create a tax base that is not dependent upon the residential property owner. It takes money to do anything. If you want conservation, you need money. If you want nice roads, you need money. If you want better drainage systems, you need money. The way that we accomplish that is by expanding our economy and bringing in high-paying jobs. And so you'll hear a lot of tying together population expansion with job creation for the purposes of perpetuating quality of life. So it's not development for the sake of development. The population's coming, and so therefore we have to concentrate on bringing the jobs so that we can continue to provide quality of life for our citizens as we move into the following decades. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kaylee.
Good morning. It's nice to see you all again. So the Vision 2050 is really, as Taco mentioned, it's built on the 2032 plan, but it's also perpetuated by regional changes, state changes, and local changes. Florida is a high-growth state, and as Taco mentioned, there are a lot of preemptions and statutory updates that do require the county to be forward-thinking about how they want to address growth and development within their community to ensure that they are in line with what the vision of the overall community is. Northeast Florida is very attractive from a climate perspective, from a growth and development perspective. So there are a lot of people moving into Northeast Florida. And then from general influences, there have been a lot of changes in the last 15 years. There's post-pandemic. The world looks a little bit different now. There's technological advancements that we need to think about. The affordability concerns when it comes to housing and goods and services. Environmental concerns with frequent flooding and other climate concerns with stormwater and the need for additional conservation. And then just general community changes. You've had an influx of a lot of residents and the needs to keep up with the community desires are need to be thought about and addressed. So what we think about with the Vision 2032 plan is thinking about quality of life, balanced growth, thinking about how we can best accommodate the needs of the community with the needs from an environmental and physical and employment sustainability metrics. Growth in the employment opportunities. Right now, there are a lot of people who do have to leave the county for their employment. So how can we think about bringing those jobs into Nassau County so that there's more tax dollars here, more support here for residents? That's also with growing the economic base and providing more money for the county to provide the high-quality services that its residents have come to expect. Conservation efforts are key and paramount when thinking about the future. The county has done a wonderful job at looking at key conservation areas around the county that need to be focused on through the CLAM project, as well as identifying Florida Forever projects and opportunities to expand those critical resources and natural resources for the county's residents. And also maintaining community character and sense of place. The residents are so passionate about Nassau County. They're passionate where they are today, where they want to be in the future. The small town charm, the tight-knit community feel, the nonprofits that bring so many services and availability of resources to the community, continuing to perpetuate and build on that momentum and foster community is paramount to ensuring the success of the county into the future. So today, we'd like to talk about, just high-level project status, where we are, some high-level community engagement, some of the feedback that we've gotten so far, and then really diving into growth projections and growth scenario, really shaping the future of the county. So the project purpose and just a high-level recap. This is the vision plan. Will be built on the community's desires, everything that we've heard, everything that we've seen, our existing community conditions memorandum, the statistically valid survey, the widespread community engagement that we've done, really establishing the needs for the future so that the future is sustainable and there's long-term vitality for both the county's residents and visitors. Right now, looking at the phases, we're in between phases 3 and 4. Phase 3 is where we're looking at creating the overall growth framework for the future, and phase 4 is where we really dive into the recommendations. And then as far as major deliverables, you all have the community memorandum in front of you all. That will be available on the project website. That establishes the existing conditions of the county today. We've got our community building blocks. Those are kind of the foundational pillars, the key themes, the values that we've heard from the community throughout this entire process. We have our character areas and characteristics, thinking about future growth, and then implementation strategies and a comprehensive plan work program. That'll help to identify what areas of the comprehensive plan need to be fully addressed in order to best align with the vision of 2050 and really build that foundation for the comprehensive plan update. The plan, as we've said a lot, it'll be critical and paramount for updating the comprehensive plan, but it can also inform land development regulation updates, small area planning initiatives, mobility and transportation planning initiatives and updates, strategic planning, your work programs and your budgets, capital improvement planning, and then community plans and initiatives. As far as where we are on the project timeline, we are in, we're nearing out the end of phase 3 and in the middle of phase 4. We do anticipate wrapping up the draft vision plan by the end of the year and looking at adoption in early next year.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go back.
Yes.
So phase 2, does that mean you finish that phase early, or you're?
No, but that was the anticipated timeline for phase 2. It was a lot of our initial community engagement to try to understand the community's vision for the future. So that was, we did the bicentennial kickoff event in Wildlight. We had our community vision survey, the statistically valid survey, a lot of community engagement. That built the community building blocks. So we kind of considered that phase complete with that. And then that overlapped with part of phase 3 where we started to identify the growth framework.
I mean, if I hadn't asked that question, if I just look at that, it would seem like we're still doing phase 2 while we're in phase 3, but phase 2 is complete.
Yes,
Okay,
the
thank
phase
you.
2 is the orange.
Thanks.
So our engagement has been multi-pronged. So first, we did the statistically valid survey. That went to a randomized sample of county residents to determine their thoughts and feelings about the county. In conjunction with that, we also have done a lot of community-wide engagement. So we had a community-wide vision survey where we had over 900 responses. We did the statistically valid survey, which had 401, which does make it meet the criteria to be statistically valid. We did a visitor survey, a youth and young engagement survey, which had about 40 and almost 100 responses respectively. We held a handful of introductory meetings with the community. We had interviews with elected officials. We had stakeholder engagement meetings where we work to understand the existing conditions today. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What do they want to see for the future? We also had meetings with our various committees that we're working with through the project. So we have our technical advisory committee, our county staff members that are really helping to evaluate and guide our plan process from their local knowledge. We're working with the Planning and Zoning Board as our Plan Advisory Committee, so presenting to them and getting their feedback on various elements. And then we've also worked with the Nassau Prosperity Alliance to talk through or discuss some of the economic development opportunities within the county. County staff and the planning team have attended a handful of community events. We had the kickoff bicentennial celebration event at Wildlight that was well attended. We had a lot of engagement and opportunities to provide input on the vision for the future. Our team also participated in a handful of pop-ups throughout the community following that. The county staff team has been wonderful in attending other community events and spreading the word about the vision plan. We've also attended the opening of the beaches and the 4th of July celebration with a handful of exercises to get community involvement and input on the process. As part of the creation of our building blocks, we also did a community-wide survey to get their input, and we had over 400 responses to that. So through all of the engagement, we've identified some strengths, challenges, and opportunities. As I mentioned, the community residents are extremely passionate about Nassau County. They've been here for a long time. They want to stay here. They want their families to be here. It's really important to them, and that's a huge strength of the county. One of the questions that we asked was, what's one hidden gem in Nassau County? And we actually had quite a few people tell us that the people is a hidden gem in Nassau County. There's a great diversity of natural resources. You have your rural areas, you have your coastal lands, you have your rivers, your floodplains, a lot of just diverse, great resources. There's a small town feel. While the county itself is very large in size, you have a lot of strength in the community and the desire to maintain that small town feel and those close roots. There's a great availability of community services. It's a family-friendly and safe environment. Safety is a big thing that has been brought up a lot. It's also one of the best school districts in Florida. So a lot of people want to be here to help raise their families. They think it's a great place for their families to be. Community-oriented, and there's a lot of preservation efforts from a rural heritage preservation standpoint, but also historic preservation efforts within smaller communities. Some of the challenges that we've heard about are the variation of services and resources available throughout the county. Like I said, it is a large county, so some of the services can be limited as far as where they're easily accessible. Affordability concerns throughout the county. The job opportunities, as I said, a lot of people do have to leave Nassau County for employment, and so a lot of people mentioned that they would like to be able to work here and stay here and have high-paying jobs here in the county. Traffic and congestion were key challenges that were brought up. You have State Road 200, that's your main east-west road. You have a lot of congestion in your major intersections in Callahan. It takes a lot of time to get into Jacksonville. I will say that the county, I think, is doing a wonderful job at thinking strategically and proactively about how to address some of those transportation and mobility concerns. And then there's also just the loss of community character. We heard that a lot of people seem to think or feel that parts of State Road 200, feel like anywhere USA. There's not really a community character. And there are concerns that could continue to happen elsewhere in the county. And then opportunities for the future, it's really celebrating the existing assets that Nassau has today, thinking about it from a sustainability standpoint, from a flooding perspective, but also from fiscal sustainability, providing better connections for people to places, the parks, the services, the schools, just better access and connectivity, creating a better sense of place within the existing towns and City of Fernandina Beach, but also within new development, really bolstering that sense of place and sense of community. Continuing to provide a high quality of life, increasing the availability of services for community members, diversifying the economic base and the tax base so that there are other opportunities aside from property taxes to provide monetary resources for the county. And then improving green open spaces, and then focuses on arts, culture, and creating opportunities for residents. And the arts and cultural aspect could look very different depending on where you are in the county, but there is still a strong tie to I want my cultural heritage to be protected and reflected in the community. So that doesn't necessarily mean public art everywhere. It may mean looking at it differently, having small historic museums or access to historic markers and events, other places in the county. As part of our engagement, we did a series of activities. One was a postcard where people could fill out, where Nassau is today, and in 2050, they hope Nassau is. One thing I want to point out is a lot of the words on this page are, for Nassau today and in 2050, are extremely positive. Beautiful, community, place, wonderful, great. Those are all very positive words, so it shows the passion that the residents have for the county. And thinking about the future, better activities, beautiful community, thriving nature, those are all also very positive words and things that can help really direct where we put our efforts. At the kickoff event at Wildlight, we had a couple boards where people could take 3 stickers and put where they thought their priorities, or where their priorities are, based on a handful of areas. Not surprising, the natural resource protection, managed growth, experiencing the outdoors, safe and healthy communities, and arts, cultural, entertainment opportunities were some of the highest ranking priorities for residents. And then we also had an activity where residents could identify great places today in Nassau County and potentially great places. It's the beaches, the parks, the open space, the things that make Nassau unique. It's cultural spaces, cultural centers, business opportunities. And so thinking about how we can use placemaking and sense of place to help shape the future of Nassau. And we've come up with 7 building block statements that really highlight and focus on some of the key themes or key things that we've heard from residents and community members: balance, stability, opportunity, resiliency, connectivity, livability, and authenticity. And these are really the foundation of our Vision 2050. Each will have a handful of recommendations to help achieve these vision statements. I wanted to talk through growth projections. So we have our subconsultant, SB Friedman, did conduct a handful of projections using a variety of sources for both population and employment to better understand where the county may be in 2050. They used the U.S. Census Bureau, the Business Labor Statistics, the Bureau of Economic and Business Research, and Lightcast to look at a variety of options or projections for the future. So today, the county is at around 101,000 residents. Bieber is kind of the standard that started with in Florida to look at population projections. They provide 3, a low, mid, and high scenario. Their low scenario actually shows a negative population growth for the county. Their mid looks at a compounding annual growth rate of about 1.35%, and their high shows the county at being around 190,200 residents by 2050. When you look at historical population growth, so from 2010 to 2023, the compounding annual growth rate is at about 2.5%. So if you look at the Bieber projections, that is higher than the high scenario. So we feel that using those projections may be slightly low, especially when you look at the last year. There's been a 3.8% population increase in just 1 year here. So our recommendation for this is to use a 2.5% compounding annual growth rate, which would put the county at around 197,000 residents by 2050, so just shy of 200,000 in the next 25 years. And that's about 7,500 higher than what Bieber is showing. And we feel that may, in some cases, if you look at the recent years, may still be a little conservative. From a population growth perspective, we also looked at that to understand, what kind of job projections we would expect to see over the next 25 years. From 2001 to 2023, there was a 2.4% compounding annual growth rate, so about that many new jobs per year. So right now, the county has about 28,300 jobs. They looked at first light cast data, which only shows very limited, a 1.4% growth in jobs through 2034. And what that's driven from is really historical growth rates, which are brought slightly down by Duval County. If you look at Duval, it's at 1.1%. St. John's had a 4% population, employment growth rate, and Nassau County sitting around 2.4. And so SB Friedman looked at two scenarios, a 2.25% growth rate for employment and a 2.5% that's consistent with the population growth. And they think that that is more realistic than looking at like a 1.4% growth rate. So looking at about 55,000 jobs, or 51 to 55,000 new job or total jobs in Nassau County, which is around 26,000 new jobs. But one thing to keep in mind with that is a metric that's looked at with jobs and housing and things is a jobs to housing ratio or a jobs to population ratio, and that can be indicative of whether or not you're typically a bedroom community where you have a lot of people who live here but have to travel outside for employment, or if you have sufficient jobs within your community to keep people here. So looking at the projections into the future, while it may seem like a lot to add 27,000 new jobs, you're still just maintaining the status quo of around 28% jobs to population ratio. And so from a growth scenario standpoint, what we wanted to get into now is we have all this information, we kind of have an understanding of what the community excuse me, wants, but how can we frame it and shape it in a way that best supports the needs of the community? And one way is thinking about it from a growth perspective and how we want to see growth happen. So we looked at it from first a very high-level character areas perspective. That will then be used to shape updates to your future land use categories or place types that then get implemented through your zoning districts. So first, from a character perspective, we look at kind of a metric or a scale of different types of elements within your built environment. So in a rural area, you have a lot more natural open space, you have less built area, less pavement. In your suburban areas, you may see more of an even shift between the three. The green areas are natural open space, the brown are built space, and the gray are kind of your mobility, your roads, your parking lots, driveways, things like that. And then in your more urban areas, you see a lot more built space, a lot more buildings, and then mobility, so your streets, parking lots, and driveways, and less open green space. And that green space is usually in a sense of your plazas, your parks, your more urban park areas. So what this could look like from the Nassau County perspective, from a residential area, you've got rural, suburban, and urban. Your rural areas, you have deep setbacks, large lots. The rural, your roadways have a drainage, a swale drainage system, or not curb and gutter. In your suburban areas, you've got medium setbacks. Homes are typically closer together. You have sidewalks, curb and gutter systems on your roadways. And then from a more urban perspective, you've got more condensed development, closer to the street. Diversity of uses. Oh, thank you. And then within the commercial sense, you may have your small scale commercial uses within a rural area that really just help to support the adjacent community that are consistent with, well and septic, that we don't expect there to be services out there, so they're smaller scale. Your suburban areas, your deep setbacks, your parking lots that front the road, and then an urban area where you've got the buildings a little bit closer to the front. You've got your activated pedestrian zones and some street trees. And so what we wanted to do with this is really devise potential character areas where we want to see, we want to guide how future growth looks like in the county. We looked at the William Burgess District. We looked at the Timber to Tides Master Plan. We've looked at the future land use categories within the county, existing development patterns, even some of the ENCPA uses to create character areas that would best align with how we feel the community could grow. So we have natural conservation areas, rural towns, suburban residential, suburban commercial, urban general, urban center, and employment centers. So I'm gonna high-level talk through these. I know that they're in the slides if we wanna dive into any of them in more detail. But the natural areas are really our conservation areas, our floodplains, wetlands, state parks, areas that we want to maintain in a conservation system. There may be some context-sensitive development associated within the conservation areas. For example, a learning center within a conservation area if you want to do an outdoor learning and to educate the community on the value of the different natural resources. But typically, they maintain in a natural state. The rural character is intended to preserve, more of the rural heritage. You've got large lots, deep setbacks. Small-scale commercial and civic uses may be appropriate at key intersections just to help support the adjacent community. And then there's an assumption that water and sewer would not be expanded as much into these areas, so it does help to facilitate the large lot and rural atmosphere. Within the rural town, these are kind of the expansions of the rural areas, more joint planning. We understand that we want there to be a continuous transition between the municipalities into the county, so we've identified rural town areas on the periphery of the community so that we can enhance joint planning opportunities and really work within the community to ensure that there are appropriate uses that support the towns. Suburban residential and suburban commercial are kind of standard of what you've seen. Medium depth setbacks, homes typically close together. You may have some supporting commercial services, schools and parks, places of worship within your suburban residential areas, but it's primary residential. In your suburban commercial areas, your deep setbacks, your auto-oriented uses, deep parking lots along your major roadway corridors. Urban general reflect more of your traditional development patterns, so you've got buildings that are brought closer to the street. They provide a variety of services or mixture of uses. They are designed at more of a pedestrian scale, so you've got some enhanced pedestrian frontages with shallower setbacks, street trees, transparency standards within the roadway to help to support the pedestrian activity along the corridor, and more of an enhanced mobility network so you can try to facilitate more of the walking and alternative modes of transportation. Sorry. Urban center is kind of that next step up, very similar to urban general, but these are like the focused nodes of growth where you want to see your greatest intensities and densities, maybe a live, work, play, stay, lifestyle center, those kinds of aspects that really, they provide green infrastructure, plazas, placemaking within an area. Still, you have the street front activation and a variety of uses. They could be a regional draw as well. And then we've identified employment centers, and these could vary depending on where they are, but they're intended to be your larger economic or employment hubs that provide a lot of services for the community. They create spaces for mixed use. You may have associated with some higher densities and intensities. The entire employment center may not be designed at the pedestrian scale, but the intent is to have the pedestrian scale elements there so that it is also similar to a live, work, play, stay community area, depending on the intended uses. So why do we, kind of the next step, why are we looking at this? Why do we want to consider growth patterns? We know growth is coming. You know, there's going to be 100,000 new residents. So this is our opportunity to look at where and how we can guide growth in a way that best supports the needs of the community. We've identified 3 potential growth scenarios that have allowed us to look at different patterns of development and implications of what it could do, what it could look like for the community. And then the character areas will help us to inform the future land use map and future land use element of the comprehensive plan. The ultimate, while there are 3 draft scenarios prepared today, there will be 1 preferred scenario that may not look like any one specific of the 3 scenarios and may be a blend of them. To start, we looked at existing opportunities and constraints. We looked at the future land use categories within all the towns in the city of Fernandina Beach. We looked at the mobility plan, proposed infrastructure, water and wastewater opportunities. We looked at environmental constraints, the floodplains, the wetlands, Florida the conservation areas, existing entitled development, as well as additional development constraints and opportunities. And then we looked at some conservation opportunities, including the conservation projects, Florida Forever projects, and other high priority areas that the county has identified for conservation. And what we have, there's a lot of data on this map, but to drill down, those are kind of all those layers that we had on the previous page. But to drill down, we've really identified where the greatest areas of change, where we can be most influential, are around the Yulee area, around a potential new, or around the new interchange at I-95, looking at our existing resources within the towns to look at how growth around the towns can best accommodate the needs of the community, our major employment areas around the Crawford Diamond and ICI villages. So these are kind of the areas where we see the greatest opportunities of change. So thinking about, we have 197,000 residents that will be here by 2050. That's around 100,000 new residents or 38,000 dwelling units if you look at the persons per household calculation. Between the entitled development within the ENCPA, the tributary, existing PUDs that are still being built out, there's around 36,000 dwelling units that are already generally accommodated or accounted for currently. So that leaves around 2,000 to 3,000 new residential units that are needed to improve the jobs to housing ratio, not just maintain the status quo, but to improve it. You need at least 38,000 more jobs within the county. And a very loose calculation, you need around 3 million square feet of additional commercial space to support that population growth. And that doesn't necessarily take into consideration the tourism growth within the county. So there's a lot of growth coming, and we need to be proactive in how we think about it. So in order to create kind of a metric system of the county, we looked at the 7 building blocks that we've established through this planning process. And we've identified where we think the county sits on these today. And generally, it's good. I mean, the county is kind of in the middle for most of these metrics. But to maintain that or to improve, we really need to be forward thinking. And so each of the scenarios that you see, there'll be a scenario of the map or a slide with the map, and then the next slide will kind of show you where we feel that scenario would take the county based on the building blocks. So we have a trend scenario where it's really reactive planning. There's not, it's kind of more of your existing development patterns. It's a spreading of development to the west side of the county. There's incremental growth where we focus as much as we can of the development within the William Burgess District and along the State Road 200 corridor to align with the Timber to Tides Master Plan, but there is still an expansion westward. And then a think big scenario where we really tried to think outside of the box and look at how we can accommodate growth and preserve what the community wants to preserve. So the first scenario is the trend. This is what we envision it would look like from a character perspective into the future. A lot of strip commercial along the major corridors with suburban-style residential behind it. That could be, from a density standpoint, it could be, more medium density, or it could still be 1 acre lots that are formed in a way that are more suburban in nature, like a true neighborhood style, as opposed to your large lot rural areas. The green represents the areas that would remain more rural in character. And then there's the employment center around the ICI villages, around Crawford Diamond. And then we have identified an employment center around the Omni, the Ritz area, because that is a major economic driver for the county. That area would be slightly different as far as what that looks like as opposed to the Crawford Diamond or ICI villages. And we feel that if the county were to grow this way, you see a reduction in a lot of the values that the county wants to see moving forward. There's less balance. You're losing a lot of your rural areas. You're seeing an expansion of growth in a great way west. There's less stability as far as or really no change in the availability of housing options. Less opportunity for businesses, less connectivity because there is such a westward spread. You have less opportunities for the multimodal connections, less resiliency opportunities, so less ability to conserve additional open space. Really, with that spread westward, we would assume that there would be a loss of community identity, loss of community character, and less livability options or healthy living opportunities. The second scenario, incremental growth, still shows a westward expansion. However, it would be anticipated that there would be a bit more of that growth within the William Burgess District and Timber to Tides, but just because of the nature of growth and development, you would still see kind of a spread of that suburban character westward. But this one does, we do think, show a little bit more balance, a little bit more stability, slightly more opportunities, connectivity, resiliency. Still a decrease in authenticity because you are seeing that westward expansion, potential loss of character and small town feel, and then an increase in healthy living opportunities, just especially with the new medical facilities being built around the I-95 interchange. And then finally, the think big scenario really tries to think outside of the box, look at new conservation areas, the preservation of rural. So we expanded the rural town areas, expanded the area around the Crawford Diamond, and then looked at the new I-95 interchange as a major regional employment hub for the county with a higher density and intensity uses surrounding that to try to accommodate most of the commercial and residential growth in that area. That provides there to be more incentives and opportunities to use funds, transfer of development rights, things like that, to ensure conservation elsewhere in the county. So we feel that this one actually shows the most balance within the community. While you are going to have one area or a couple areas of higher densities and intensities, that provides you the ability to preserve elsewhere. There, with the higher densities, that could offer a lot more choices and opportunities for housing options, greater business growth opportunities, more connectivity, especially within those areas, to provide more live, work, play, stay, multimodal connections and options for getting around. This does provide a good framework to be able to preserve more land. You're maintaining kind of the small town character around Hilliard, Callahan. You're preserving the city of Fernandina Beach, and you're also creating communities that foster sense of place. So we think that this would also bolster the community identity and provide additional opportunities for healthy living, better access to parks and recreation within the areas that you're developing. So these are kind of our implementation strategies. And then we just wanted to open it up for some discussion and walk through you saw them all right after this scenario, but I wanted to frame it in a different way. where you can look at each of the building blocks and see the difference between the three scenarios to provide kind of a better understanding. So from authenticity, the trend scenario shows a decrease. The incremental still shows somewhat of a decrease, and the think big, we think, shows the greatest support of the authenticity building block, which is we envision a Nassau County that celebrates the unique character of our community, preserves history, and promotes arts, culture, and traditions. Balance, we envision a Nassau County that takes a balanced and responsible approach to growth, redevelopment, and rural land preservation. With the trend scenario, there was that great westward expansion of development, so we think that shows more spread out development. The incremental did focus a little bit more of the development into took away some of the suburban growth west, so slightly more compact development. And then the think big scenario really tried to consolidate a lot of that growth within the defined areas. Connectivity, the trend scenario showed it being more automobile-based. The incremental, slightly an increase, especially around the State Road 200 area within the William Burgess District, and really providing enhanced east-west connections and north-south. And then from a think big standpoint, there's a lot more travel options within your more consolidated growth areas. So we envision a Nassau County that is physically connected with safe, accessible, multimodal transportation options, virtually connected with improved broadband access. Livability, we envision a Nassau County that provides access to healthy food, medical services, education, and safe and welcoming parks and recreation spaces. With the westward, the trend scenario, you're seeing a lot more spread out growth. Maybe it's harder to access some of those services and provide healthy living opportunities. The incremental growth provides more options, and then the think big has them most consolidated within specific areas, and then also helps to support and bolster additional growth within the healthy living options. Opportunity, we envision a Nassau County that supports retail and businesses innovation, resulting in a variety of job opportunities for existing and future residents. We feel that like the think big scenario really provides the best opportunity to attract a lot more businesses and kind of build off of each other to increase the best economic base and support from a land or from a growth perspective. Resiliency, we envision a Nassau County that protects our rich supply of natural resources and supports conservation. As we mentioned with the think big scenario, I think that there are a lot more opportunities to incentivize and work with conservation efforts to improve or enhance the conservation areas within the county, especially to protect the critical natural resources. And stability, we envision a Nassau County that is intentional about creating and preserving quality, attainable housing options near jobs and amenities for residents of all ages and stages. So looking at a range of housing options that best meet all the needs of the community within close areas to employment centers, to parks, to services. And so this one, there's an increase in stability from an incremental standpoint, but also in the think big standpoint. And so I wanted to pause here for any questions, comments, discussion related to the three scenarios. As I said, we are going to be creating one preferred scenario.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Kaylee. I noticed on there was a 3 million square foot of industrial space needed, and in the future, and we have a 1.5. Was the 1.5 million square feet Commerce Park included? Is that in addition to what we need here in Nassau County moving forward?
I would have to double check with SB Friedman, but I think so, because it was really just based on population projections. So the community memorandum has some recommendations of what's needed to best support the community. That was it was commercial retail space, so not necessarily industrial growth. It was just, you have 100,000 new residents. It's typically about 30 square feet per person of additional retail or commercial space to support the residences. So that wasn't necessarily associated with the Commerce Park. It was really more we need grocery stores, we need business offices, things like that.
Well, I like the most favorable scenario, consolidated growth, think big. And I do think if we can, the county moving forward, county manager, me and him was having a discussion, west of I-95, new interchange at the Wildwood area, road area there, consolidating all of our industrial and, we've got to work with our business, our community partners, which is Radiant, things like that. And that's a trend and it's a scenario I like to see the county move forward. There was one question. I know we have a industrial park, it's a preliminary work going on off of I-10 and US 90 Beaver Street. Where is the one along US 17 that's identified in here, in section 3? I don't know where that one's at.
Kid, would you mind going back to the Think Big map?
Wrong way, yes.
So while she's doing that, just two things. To your first question, I think it's really important. We requested SB Friedman when they ran their analysis to say, okay, how many jobs do we need just to stay status quo? And so Kaylee showed that graph. But I know talking to you all as individuals and in the community that we want better than the status quo in terms of job creation. And so we started looking at just to purely baseline, just to stay with where we're at. If we're going to grow proportionately, 200,000 people, that the 3 million square feet of retail is just what would accommodate the status quo if we grow at the projected rate. And so I think it's real important as we move through the next phases and then into the creation of the comprehensive plan, which then we get into your economic element, which is whether it's economic incentives, it's investment in infrastructure to support economic growth and job creation, is that's really where the rubber is going to hit the road in terms of bringing those industrial complexes online. Because we do have, while we benefit economically from the city of Jacksonville and Duval County being our neighbor to the south, they are also a large vacuum that pulls a lot of things that come to the region into their boundary. And so that's why we are a part of the region in terms of economic development so that we can start to get some of that into Nassau County. The US 17 project that we were talking about is the area near the 1795 interchange. There's a large industrial area that's already zoned and has flume in place, and there's existing agricultural lands that are still sitting in the open rural ag land use category. And with the installation of public water and sewer at that interchange, it opens up an opportunity for a pretty high-profile job-creating development or series of developments at that interchange.
Okay, so basically they're about the NCPA Village Center, not one corner up there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I was noticing that the entitlements already for homes being built, if we got 36,000, and that's just to keep us, we're 3,000 short, just to keep us moving on a flat. I mean, just flat, not no increase, at all. But I mean,
Yeah.
we've got to make improvements for housing, along with the support for jobs for our citizens. Both, we got to work better and think big. I like that third scenario I showed up there. Thank you.
Commissioner Hudson?
Chairman, thanks. Kate, I think you're looking at a balance of between incremental and think big. One thing I'd like to comment on about this scenario is that if you don't put boxes around those municipalities like Callahan and Hilliard and constrain what's going to come out there, my fear would be that we would end up looking like South Florida, where you have, outside of Tampa, say, where the sprawl of PUDs and development and housing is just an expansion of Tampa that just grows outward from that urban center. If we don't think big and come up with these boxes around these areas where we really want to keep the growth in and maintain our character and our culture in the county, but there's a balance there. I think that is crucial for us as a commission. I've seen it also in Tallahassee. Tallahassee has a similar box around it where they maintain people inside, and when you go north, you find quail farms and you find, pine forests, but they've, constrained it around Tallahassee, and I think that we need to think big in that same direction in Nassau County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. Anyone else? County Manager?
Kayla, would you like to expand upon the kind of the concepts of the rural town centers and the cooperation and relationship with the town of Callahan, town of Hilliard?
Yeah, so we envision these rural town character area to really be kind of a joint planning opportunity, to really focus with joint partnership with the city, the towns, to evaluate what kind of growth would best operate around their communities, how they want to expand their services. I think that there are a lot of opportunities to incorporate or encourage that great communication between the county and the towns to ensure that there is a seamless transition between the two. I don't know if there's more you want me to expand on.
We know they
Potential.
want to grow. We know they have aspirations. They're creating water and sewer expansions. They're annexing properties. And so let's not be in conflict. Let's have the two plans work together. But to Commissioner Hutton's point, there is an edge, right? And so let's work collaboratively to define that edge so that there is that balance that the residents are seeking.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know that Nassau County is relatively unique, especially you go from, from east, we're a coastal community, going from east and rural going west, and everywhere in between. You can see where it's changing as you go from east to west. Are there any, I know there's not, every county thinks they're unique in one way or another, but considering what Nassau County is like now, is there another county in Florida, and if not, that's fine, is there another county that you've worked with, or a community that you've worked with in another state that is also coastal and then going rural, that they were in a similar situation as us 20 years ago, and they're where we are now, okay? And they are 10 years down the road, or whatever I think you had 10 years, is it 10? No, by 2050.
2050.
Yeah, so 20, 25 years, they practically doubled in size. And so is there, and you may not know the answer to this, but I'm trying to plant a seed. Maybe you could
Yeah.
maybe you could do a little research on it in your spare time,
Yep.
which I'm sure you don't have very much of, to where they were where we are now, and 20, 25 years ago, and they're where we're gonna be. And the numbers don't have to be exact, just a percentage of growth in a similar type of county, and they did it right. And and if we're gonna think big, or somewhere in between think big and incremental, where you believe that that county or that area did it right. I know you can't just say, hey, they did it right, we're gonna copy everything they did, but I think it kind of gives us an example of what things will look like if you do it right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would be happy to look into that a little bit more
And-
for you. And it may not be one county does exactly one thing right. It may be this county did this really well, and this community did this really well. So we'll definitely look into
I'm just trying to
that.
compare apples to apples,
Mhm.
and see where, because there's got to be areas.
South Carolina.
Really? Did they do it right?
Kaylee, South Carolina.
Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. And if that's like a time-consuming thing that's gonna take you away from anything else, I'm not gonna hold you to that, but I just wanted to put that out there. Commissioner Farmer.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to that and say, don't just stop with what they did well. Let's, we'll go one step further and let's identify what they did wrong.
Yep.
Because, I'd much rather identify what we did wrong in those places, and then stay away from that, as I would, try to focus on what we did right.
Not trying to add to your workload.
No, it's good to look at lessons learned from other communities.
There are some examples out on the Panhandle, maybe Walton, where they transition from it goes south to north, but rather than east to west. But the beach fronts are in the south, and then it turns rural as it goes further north. So there are some examples out there. Yeah.
Yes.
Because Commissioner Hubbard was correct. I've been to Tallahassee many times. I have family that lives in Tallahassee, and I've traveled a lot around Tallahassee, and it's a big change, from Tallahassee proper to the surrounding areas there. You see all kinds of different stuff just in that, and that's just the municipality. So,
Absolutely.
thank you. I think that's it.
I did have one more.
Sure.
On the Think Big 2, I love the green ribbon on the north side of the county that protects the St. Mary's and runs all the way up along our northern border. I think that's a goal that we have to stay absolutely focused on. And that watershed is the future of the county for natural resources, and we need to protect that at all costs.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Okay.
All right. So quickly, just next steps. We'll be identifying some place types, some refining of the character areas into more granular descriptions. We're looking at how the roadway can best support the character into the future through our Vision 2050 framework. We'll be refining those ideas through the comprehensive plan, and then the implementation is with the land development code, your subdivision regulations, and different regulation updates. We'll be creating a preferred growth scenario from what we've heard today. We'll come up with vision plan recommendations. We'll be doing presentations at the end of this year and into early next year. We anticipate the adoption process to be Q1, Q2 for the vision plan, and the comprehensive plan kickoff, and then that kickoff, or the comprehensive plan will go through 2026.
Well, I'd have waited if I thought the questions were 2 minutes down the road.
No, that was an appropriate spot to pause. To talk
Okay.
about the scenarios.
Anything else? Any commissioners like Commissioner Farmer?
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that's been involved in this process. I mean, we've seen you guys out at all these public venues and these events, and it truly speaks volumes of who we all are as Nassau County, to go out and see these people at these events, or, you know, take the party to them, if you will, you know, because at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, with our PIO and speaking with Sabrina and speaking with Omari and and even our staff here behind the scenes, you know, we've got to take government to the people. The people just, you know, there's a select group of people that come here to these meetings that pay attention to what's going on. But I mean, they represent probably less than 5% of the demographic. So we got to take this stuff to the other 95%. And I'd just like to say thank you to y'all, because you've all done a magnificent job.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Upman?
Thank you, sir. If I can build on that too, the community involvement this time, which I understand in the past, not a critique of the past, we did not have this level of input from the citizens of Nassau County. And so they have ownership of this with us. And I think that's really important going forward, is that we stay working as a team of government and citizens to make sure we nail this vision.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, Commissioner Upman, I was there and participated in the 2032 visioning process and went to all not all of them, I went to a lot of, my wife and I went to a lot of the meetings that they had, and they were just, it was the same old, every time you went to one of these things. And so what I would add to what Commissioner Upman said about participation, we got to kudos to you and your team. We got a better product being offered to us from what you guys are doing. So,
Thank you.
okay, manager, you got anything?
Tonight, we have a Yulee community meeting, and then
Yes.
tomorrow night, the team will be at the town of Hilliard. And then we're gonna have a handful of meetings set up over the coming weeks, and so, you know, by the end of the year, we'll have this thing well under wraps and be ready to start moving into drafting comprehensive plan, goals, objectives, and policies.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add now? I mean, I'm going to go through comments on the agenda, but anyone else have any questions? All right. So, general public comment. Comments can only be for items under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners. The time limit is 3 minutes. I do not have any comment cards. However, if anyone in the general public would like to have their 3 minutes, they're welcome to come up, and we can get the comment card filled out later. All right, seeing none. County manager business.
No additional business there.
County attorney business.
Nothing first, further, sir.
County commission items. Commissioner McCullough.
I have no further business.
Commissioner Gray.
None.
Commissioner Farmer.
None.
Commissioner Upman.
Thank you.
And I think everything's been said that needs to be said, so we are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.